Now is it time for Brent to ta-da, walk
Ta-da.
you through the wonderful presentation. But this was great to hear from everyone. Um, there's some great stories.
All right. So the first thing I'll ask is if everybody can see the screen, and then we're going to see, did it change? Those are always the first two questions because sometimes I've gone three or four slides through and people are like, we don't see what you're looking at. We're still on the first screen. So I'm going to run through this presentation. I'm going to do the best I can to go through it as semi-quickly. It's a lot of information in a short period of time, and we know that. We will follow up with a PDF of this presentation that comes from Ian, myself, Hillary, and Zaria, so that you have the presentation to read at your own leisure, and opens the door to potentially reaching out to us if you have any questions about getting more involved. And I know a few people did mention that they wanted to. Um, but it also allows you to read the presentation a little bit slower than we're potentially going to go through it. So, as RGD members, basically the association is a bunch of Canadian designers exchanging ideas, educate and inspiring, setting professional standards, building a strong, supportive community dedicated to advocating for the value of design. The key word there is community. And I think that's something, as usual, I know Ian and I have been doing this long enough that it's so amazing to be on these calls and hear how people ended up becoming members of RGD and what level of membership they are. There's a lot of things that are parallel, but there's a lot of different places. And, Kyle was one of those at the end there. Not the normal sort of graphic designer type of background. And there was a few other people that mentioned, some outlier, whether it's where they live and it's so great that and it's great that Hillary's on this call today because multiple people said such great things, and Hillary is the one that runs this organization and makes it what it is. Um, so yeah, it's really all about community, and you'll see a little bit more as we go through stuff. We're made up of 4,400 members, including firm owners, freelancers, managers, educators, and students. That is the actual what the membership is made up of, but you'll also realize that some of that is also related to the tiers of membership, but it's also related to a lot of the committees that we have and Slack channels, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of different ways that we communicate. Obviously, there's the website rgd.ca, which Ian's going to go through towards the end of the presentation, but um, it's fairly new. If you don't know rgd.ca, you haven't been on it. It's a fairly new website in the last year kind of thing. I think it's doing really well now. It is full of information. You'll see that when Ian goes through it. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the normal channels. Lots of different followers on all of them. Email communication. So we do communications about webinar updates. President's message goes out once a month, and then RGD Word, which I always talk about. It's in the visual that's off to the side, and it is probably my favorite sort of hub of information that gets pushed out to membership, and it has everything in it. Like it's talking to you about events and volunteer spotlights and job postings and it talks about the webinars that are upcoming. It basically tells you a whole bunch of key relevant timely information and will push you to rgd.ca to read more, and then you can start exploring there. So watch out for that. That's every couple of weeks. Networking, we have Slack, and there's a ton of different channels that we use for that. Everybody is pretty active on that. And if you ask questions about anything on any of the channels, then you will very likely get an answer fairly quickly. I am the first person to say I'm not a huge fan of Slack, not because I don't like Slack, but because it's just another way of communicating. And I find that there's so many of those, and I'm so old. We do use Slack at my office, so jumping back and forth between my team and the RGD Slack channels. But I have to say, on the few occasions that I've used it selfishly to find an answer to a question or to find a resource, like we needed an illustrator once, or somebody on my team had a technical question. The community is amazing. They are so quick. Two or three people reach out. Oh, here's a couple of different illustrators that would, sound like they'd suit that project, or here's a link to that, hopefully will answer that technical question you have. It is amazing. Local events are starting to make a comeback. We obviously, like everybody else, went very virtual, which had pluses and minuses, back from 2020 to 2022. It allowed us to really expand our footprint and reach across Canada. Um, in our humble beginnings years and years ago, it was very much metropolitan centers, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and now, we really have people, and we had somebody today that was talking about being, across the border in Detroit. So, we're expanding right across the country and we're covering kind of every corner now, which is amazing, especially when you do things where there's surveys and you get better information. It's all different types of people in the design industry or loosely related to it. But now we're getting into more local events, which we're managing locally. So people that are in certain geographic areas are taking on things like trivia nights, minds of design, workshops, lectures. There's lots of great stuff that's happening out there. Most of them you can find on rgd.ca or you'll see in RGD Word coming to your email box. So pay attention to that. Some of these events are specific to certain areas, and some of them are done in multiple locations across the country. I know trivia nights, there's things that are happening like right across the country. It could be in Calgary, it could be in Halifax. Um, and it might be happening on the same night, it might just be within the same week. And then the RGD Book Club meets quarterly, and that is virtual. If you're big into reading books and then talking about them after, I think that's a fun. It's a fun group. I think they're still active and looking for new members. So if anybody's interested in that kind of thing, please reach out. We do a few different professional awards. We used to try and do them every year, and that is a lot with all the other things that are going on. So we did the branding awards just happened this year and were announced at RGD Design Thinkers in Toronto. And then the in-house awards were done in 2024, and then that will skip ahead to 2026. So every 2 years, these two awards kind of flip back and forth. So stay tuned for the in-house awards. There'll be kind of applications and stuff, communications about that coming up.
Can I jump in?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, there's been a slight change. We're actually going to run the in-house awards and the branding awards both in 2026.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the in-house
Is that
awards.
is that going to be the same going forward, or just is this a special year?
No, I think it's going to be the same going forward.
Okay.
We're gonna so the in-house awards will launch in December, or yeah, in December, and then with an entry deadline in February, and the award winners being presented at Design Thinkers Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
And then the branding awards will launch in March, and the winners will be presented. The deadline is in June, and then the winners will be presented at Design Thinkers Toronto. And then I think in 2027 we'll do what we used to do and alternate with well, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think we may go back to having So Good, the
Oh,
Social Good Design Awards.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of different things. Stay tuned for those dates, December and then February, if you're interested in applying. We do a great Canadian studio crawl. That was done back in March of this year. I believe you can still find it on rgd.ca/crawl, like it says there. It's really fun to sort of see how the evolution of offices have gone in the creative space over the last few years. Some people like my team are completely remote. We don't really even have an office anymore. But we did do one when we were still working out of my house, which was a number of years ago. But you can see small offices, big offices. I know Ian's company shares office space with another company that's also part of RGD. So there's lots of different things to look at and see, get an idea of what people are doing. It's kind of fun to sort of get this point of view looking at what other people's spaces are like. Design Thinkers Conference. So we do it twice a year. Like Hillary was sort of just touching on, Vancouver is usually in May, and the Toronto one is usually October or November. Um, Vancouver is they're two very different conferences in that one they're both 2 days, and I've been to both a number of times. Toronto has been going on for longer, usually about 2,000 people, concurrent streams, so lots of different information, workshops going on. And my team, we usually have to split up to kind of cover everything because, if you can't just sort of sit in one place because there's so many different great speakers that are there. Vancouver's a little smaller, usually around 600 people, and it's all in, there's workshops going on concurrently, but otherwise you sit in one theater and you get to see the same, you get to see the speakers that are in that one spot, so you don't really have to move. Both very different, both have very different vibes. I recommend, if you haven't been to both, to at least try at some point to get to both. They're both very different experiences, but amazing in their own right. You can also watch virtually, I should say. I believe both are done virtually. So if you wanted to watch either or both, then you can certainly sign up that way. For those that haven't on the call, and I don't know how many people said that they were actually certified RGDs, but if you go through the process, there's an application, then an online test, a virtual portfolio presentation, and then the presentation of results. Um, this is one that most people aspire to. Like, once you get involved in RGD and you see some of the benefits of having that RGD after your name, um, but a lot of people get really scared about the process, and it's been pretty funny because over the years I have never met someone that was not felt like it was a big endeavor to go through the process and afterwards went, oh, that wasn't so bad. We're not looking, it's not like you're trying to get into university here, but we want, if you're going to be a certified RGD, we want it to mean something. There's lots of associations out there where you can just pay your membership and maybe they give you an acronym to put after your name. But we want to make sure that the people that are certified RGDs, it actually stands for something. People have done something. They've proven that they are a higher level of design industry, personnel. Like, these are true creatives doing great work and ethically in our industry. The online test is straightforward. Yes, you have to do a little bit of studying. And I can't remember which book it is that I know some of the key stuff, but some of it's very straightforward. Um, so it is not something that you have to spend 6 months preparing for. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It is not as daunting as people think it is. I think one of the issues is that most of us that have the number of years of experience that you need to have in order to take this have been out of school for so long that thinking about studying and spending that kind of time, wedging that into an already busy schedule, is overwhelming. And I can tell you that it really isn't. And both Ian and I are certified RGDs. We have been through the process. So the sort of main stepping stones that we always hope for as membership is that we try to get, there's a lot of schools that make it automatic into as a student RGD. And it's funny because not all students actually know that they are student RGDs because it's part of their program and they pay into it as part of their tuition. So it is funny that some of them seem surprised when they get notes from the RGD and are told that they are members. That's the 1 to 4 years of their education. Then you get out, and up to 8 years of work experience, you can be an associate RGD. We used to have a portfolio and slash mentorship call for that, and that doesn't exist anymore. So you just have to go through filling out some forms and prove that you did graduate from whatever school that you said that you went to. Once you get to 7 years of work experience, at that point you can apply to become a certified RGD and go through the process that I just ran through. And you can do that at 7+ years, but at 8 years, you can no longer be an associate. So that does have a hard stop, and then you have to become an affiliate member, which doesn't have as many benefits. It is definitely a membership that's a little bit more like you're just paying into it, and you get some benefits. You're still a member, but the idea would be that somebody gets the work experience as an associate RGD and then goes through the certification process. RGD handbook. Um, this has been around for a long time and is one of the most amazing resources. This and the publication that's on the next page. Everything that you could think of that you could use both as a designer but also as sort of a business owner. There's a lot, or a freelancer. Lots of great information in that. You can get a PDF on the website, I believe, but you can also pay to have the beautifully done book and have that actually couriered to you. This is the other publication I was mentioning, the accessibility, and this is number 2. It was done a few years ago, but I have to admit both the handbook and these sit right on my shelf over there of books that I keep very close by as far as inspiration. Um, Accessibility, which is mainstay now, but a few years ago when it became this freak out for our industry because all of a sudden with AODA compliance on websites, but everything else that sort of took some people by surprise, even though it had a long lead up. This publication does a great job of making it very straightforward to understand what accessibility is and means from a graphic design perspective. Yeah, I highly recommend getting at least the PDF of this to use as a resource. So volunteers, I think this is a good place for me to say that in general, our association is run by volunteers. We have a ton of volunteers that are writing things, providing content, helping do things. Ian and I are volunteers. Um, you know, all of the committees and all the other stuff that happens, these events that I talked about, the local events and other events, all run by volunteers. But what is different than some of the other associations that are out there is that it's not fully run by volunteers. The volunteers kind of make like the execution part, but Hillary has a team of paid employees that actually run the association itself. I believe there's 10 people in the office. Um, and so, they handle, there's no way that we could do the amount of work, including 2 large conferences every year, making sure that I mean, you can see Hillary, who has a ridiculous schedule, is actually on today's Welcome Wagon call, checking in and meeting some of the members. Some of you might know her already because she seems to connect to everyone. Hillary has, I think, a LinkedIn database of it's the size of a small town at this point. Um, so anyway, definitely when we follow up with our PDF of this presentation and just make that connection within a week or so of today's call, if you're interested, and it sounded like a few of you were, there's always room. There's lots of different places to put people to work and get involved. And let me tell you, I've met some long-standing friends and colleagues in this industry because of the RGD, having been on the board and been on some committees and been involved in this. It's really great, and it certainly gets you out of that lonely designer syndrome that a lot of us can have, especially now working remotely. Virtual membership is another program that we offer. One of the great things about our mentorship program is that I think RGD does a great job of getting mentors and mentees that are relevant to each other. It's not just a designer and another designer. There's so many different facets of what our industry is doing. And, so there's no use if you have somebody that's kind of a designer, but also an illustrator talking to somebody that's a UI, UX designer. That's lovely. There are some overlaps maybe there. But what we try to do is we get as many mentors as we can and the mentees, and then we try and figure out who would work best with to the best of our ability. It doesn't always work out perfectly, but to the best of our ability, we try to put relevant mentors together, and then they go off and arrange. It could be completely virtual depending on where the people were or if that's what they were most comfortable with. But I also know people have gotten together not every time, but for a coffee and talk in person. You know, a lot of young designers are looking for that again now, trying to be practice those social skills in person, showing their portfolios, etc., asking what they need to do to get into the industry. What are some pitfalls that, you know, maybe that mentor could tell them they learned earlier on? Great program. Virtual communities.
Okay, Cindy.
Oh boy. Um, Virtual communities, again, it's like the Slack channels. If you don't see one that exists, that interests you, or that you'd like to be involved in, that you think would, you know, there be more than a few people that might be interested, please reach out and let us know, because that would be great. We just keep adding to these communities, and you know, these people get together and talk about things that are relevant to them. You don't have to be just on one. You could be on a whole bunch of different ones. So yeah, lots of ways to get involved. Code ethics, principles to help designers conduct business honestly and with integrity. This is covered in the handbook. It's covered on the website. You know, it's very important. And spec work is one of the biggest things that RGD is, you know, an amazing advocate for. We've had this program, free, fee, or flee, which is very hard to say, but an amazing program that's been around for a long time. And it's basically, you know, always trying to advocate for designers getting paid accurately for the work that they're doing. You know, there's so many young designers, especially ones that are in school or coming out of school, that get taken advantage of. All the excuses, oh, there'll be more work, or this will be great for your portfolio, or, you know, I'm a family member, so just do it for free. You know, where it really distills the amazing creative talent that's in our industry if we're not actually getting paid for the work that we do as consultants and as designers and developers in our field. So that's really what that's all about. And it has a lot to do with contests as well. It's not just clients, but contests that exist out there. That tends to be a lot of what we touch on. The biannual national salary survey, I believe this is just wrapping up and going to be released, the most recent version. If you don't know what it is, it's a survey that is across Canada and basically walks you through, you know, what people are being paid, hourly rates, different job titles. So I mean, it is related to salary, but it's also related to the types of jobs in our industry that exist, because there's a lot of different jobs, and I think this does a good job of covering what those roles are and what that salary expectation could be across the country, because it is very different, you know, depending on where it is. Um, Ian and I being firm owners, it's important for us to say we don't like it, uh, because it's usually one of the first negotiating tactics people use when they're doing interviews with us. Well, I looked in the national salary survey that RGD puts out, not knowing maybe that you know, Ian and I have this side of our lives as well with the RGD, and maybe we didn't know about this thing that existed. Uh, so anyway, that's always a funny conversation when they start off with that as a negotiating tool. All right. So like I say, I tried to speed through that as best I can. That was a lot of information in a very short period of time, but I will share that. And I'm going to turn it over to Ian, who's going to walk you through rgd.ca.
Excellent, great share. Listen, I get the easy job, to tell you the truth. I mean, how hard is it to navigate a website, right? So I volunteered for that job. The one thing that I always find important to consider with these tools is the benefits of being an RGD, and the way that it's sort of explained, you know, described, posted, available, searchable, discoverable, and you know, beneath the surface. Of course, this site took a long time to get redesigned. We're very proud of this update. But there are, I'm not sure how many of you, if we were in a room together, I could say if you've actually set up your profile or not. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't, but that is part of the beauty of this website. Not only is it a great container about positioning what an RGD is and what design really is to the world and to our, community and to those who are trying to validate what design means. It's a great site for that. But there's information not only just about the organization, of course, but what is it like to work in design? If you're going to hire a designer, what are some things to consider in terms of planning? You can search a database of RGD members, which is why setting up your profile will be very important. But there's also, I love these little nuggets. Why hire an RGD? And these are things that you can take advantage of, whether you want to send it to somebody, link to it. But it also reminds you of how you might be able to talk to prospects or to clients or to people who might be hiring you. And maybe there are things that you can try to live up to or learn from others in the communities that exist. Going back here, it's funny, we don't always look at our own websites, but the site does have a lot of great information. The content, if you're probably signed up for the newsletter is also probably the one way that I learn what's going on with RGD and probably what's in your inbox. Everything is there, the events that are going on, blog articles, the virtual, communities, etc. So everything here is most likely going to be communicated to you, but it's a great reminder of all the benefits. So, we talked about Slack workspace, which we love. I know not everyone loves, I shouldn't say we love. It is the only way that we connect with, I run the firm owners community, virtual community, and that's the only way we can reach out to firm owners. And if Brent doesn't like using Slack, believe me, not everyone likes using Slack, so it's hard to reach our community. But sure enough, we send it an email, we book a meeting, people show up, and we talk for an hour. So it's really a great way to connect. And Slack does have all those ways you can engage on asking questions, on UX, on graphic design, on
Ian,
issues
just tell them the theme for our firm owners.
Oh, the emotional maintenance.
Emotional maintenance.
Yeah, it's I think actually we were in a meeting, Hillary, there were a few of us talking, and we've already had speakers on all sorts of different subjects, and we thought, it's the end of the year, maybe we need to talk about ourselves and our needs and what we're going through together as a group. And so we'll see who shows up. But everyone needs a little emotional maintenance, especially in design. There's some great articles. This is actually an event that we ran with an English sort of a consultant coach who spoke about AI, agency growth in the age of AI. And it was really fascinating what he was talking about and things to consider as we're going through, some of you mentioned, this sort of this cross section, this sort of crazy time with the economy the way it is, AI the way it's growing, the way it's flattening capabilities. What does that mean for your work, et cetera? So this community is going to really help us shape the future of our careers and the future of our skills. The profile, of course, hopefully you'll set that up. Oops, I want to talk about code of ethics too, but your profile, please set this up. This is me. I probably haven't updated in a while, but it's very, very important that you keep it as current as possible. And these are just some articles and some activities that I've been involved in going way back. So please make sure your profile is up to date. And I believe, Hillary, that there are once you're logged in, it's the only way to see some content within the site. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can't access any of the videos or even register for an upcoming webinar unless you've at
Right.
least activated your membership. You don't necessarily have to fill out the whole profile, but yeah, you need to get into the members only section to access some stuff.
It's a good way to be searchable, at least in the database, right? Is it publicly searchable? Like RGD
yes.
members?
Yeah. And we
Good.
use it too to help us to identify potential speakers or judges for the student awards and things. So yeah, it's helpful to have it filled out.
We talked about code of ethics. I'll try to wrap up here. This is a really important piece. And I can just tell you as a business, we've actually used this when we've had clients who are difficult, and we've brought it up and we've quoted it and we've linked to it to our clients. And my chihuahua is whining. Come here. Sorry. Door's closed. And so it's a helpful piece of validation when you're trying to back up some of the things that you're defending. Instagram, hopefully you're following Instagram. That's an easy win, but look at the members. We have 34,000 followers. Incredible. Great way to stay informed. And then on LinkedIn, another space that, please follow. And, always support and comment when necessary on different posts that you will see. So listen, you're very engaged, I'm guessing, and are aware of the importance of using these tools. And I'm going to end it there once I can find where we're back at. But just want to see, because we want to take a few questions if necessary. And this is the worst, when you can't find there we go. I stopped it. Well done. So are there any questions before we wrap up? There was a lot of information, some of which you already know. James.
Yes, I guess just had a quick question regarding the certification process. So, like some other people, I'm sure, I felt that the certification process was a little bit daunting to kind of rejoin this year. So, I ended up joining as an affiliate member. What would the process be like for an affiliate member to kind of apply for that certification process? Like, is it just like applying for that, form, going through the process like anybody else, or like since I'm already in, like, is there anything different?
I'm sure Hillary will jump in if I start going off the rails on this, but I don't believe it changes based on what level of membership you're already at. I don't
Okay.
believe.
Yeah, the only good news is that there's a fee to go through the certification process, and as an affiliate member,
Mhm.
you don't have that fee is waived. So
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
there is a benefit to being an affiliate and then becoming an RGD.
Oh, awesome.
And we
Okay.
work out the financials, so
Yeah.
we refund you or like apply
Yeah.
any of your affiliate dues to your RGD when you get it.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Sounds good.
And there are some bonus prizes, yes. If you become certified and you become that level of membership, is it something to do with design thinkers, or is there
Yeah,
still
there's always an incentive running. So right now the incentive is, what is the incentive? Get certified by December 15th to receive 12 months of free dues and a free streaming pass to Design Thinkers
Oh,
in
nice.
2026. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
James,
Pretty good.
there's your inspiration. Should we check back in December? Make sure you did it already?
Yeah, sure.
Nice. All right.
Anyone else have any questions? This is your opportunity. Maybe there's really nothing more to, you've answered all the questions, Brent, I would guess.
Well, I think we overload them into submission and then their head is spinning. So yeah. And the questions, like we say, when we follow up in the next week or so with the presentation, if there's questions, please, lots of times you're on something like this and 10 minutes after you get off, you're like, oh, I should have asked that. Why didn't I ask that? So please, in between, if you want to reach out, and certainly you can use the Slack channel if there's any questions that you want to ask immediately. But otherwise, once we send the note out, you'll have access to a few of us that are involved, and you can ask questions then.
Olivia's in the waiting room. That's fascinating. Is she actually? Sorry, we're just chuckling because. Okay. Hi, Olivia.
2 minutes to spare.
Yes, I managed to come at the last little bit.
Well, there's 2 minutes left. Perfect.
Are you riding on the outside of a bus?
Yeah, I think that's why I ended up choosing not to be on the call. I'm not in a great acoustic environment.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, I will explain that all of the volunteer committees that we have all have sort of little subcommittee groups that run different programming and take care of different things that RGD staff just don't have time to do regularly. So Brent, Ian, and Olivia are members of the membership committee who very kindly, with Sissa as well, another person, run this initiative, which we are very happy to have them do.
Well, Owen, one last question.
I did think of one. Uh, so I think it was like last year or the year before, there was like an RGD meetup in downtown Kingston. Do you guys normally like, are there opportunities where things like that can happen in like your local city rather than in like the major cities of Canada?
Yeah, for sure. Like I was saying in regards to the local events, yeah, we're trying to do more and more of that, but we're relying on people in those towns to manage that. But I do believe it gets promoted through things like RGD Word, etc., to communicate it out there. Yes, Hillary, like is that how we're letting people know? Like it, I did one a few years ago in Markham, and I'm not sure how we reached out to people, but we had, small group of 15 show up at a restaurant and everybody sort of commiserated about, what was going on in their work.
Well, yeah, the key is having people like you, potentially, Owen, um, in a sort of organizing capacity. So the events in Kingston used to be organized by an RGD named Nicole, and she's actually had to step back. So we are looking for one or two people in Kingston to potentially join our local events committee and run events there. So something like the trivia night, for instance, we will be running those wherever people are interested in hosting them. The questions are all created. There's sort of like a kit for how, like what you need to do to get one organized. So, on the website, in the sort of, I'm just trying to find, in the connecting and learning section, there's a section called, that says volunteering. And there's a link, I'll just put this in the chat. It's a form for getting involved. Where is everybody? And if you're interested in joining a committee, this is, or getting involved in other ways, this is a good form to fill out. And yeah, and we can connect you with the whoever it is that is helping to organize whatever it is you're interested in.
Oh, and it sounds like you're the perfect person to set
I
that
was
up
gonna
in
say.
Kingston. Yep.
Done.
Yeah.
Is it small?
I love that we're going to try and get people on the call to have some things already on their list. James is getting certified in December. Owen's taking over for all
Everyone has
volunteer local
homework.
events in Kingston. I love it.
John's gonna run one in his state.
In
Come
Detroit.
on, let's do this. A lot of designers in Detroit. Anyway,
Windsor, yep, perfect. Tyler's trying to get some emotional maintenance, so he wants to be part of the firm owners group. So yeah,
I
success,
Am I-
success.
Tyler, did you get an invite to the firm owners group, or do I still need to do that?
I did not as of yet, but
Okay.
if you did send one, I would happily join.
Okay, I will send that to you shortly.
Okay, we've gone over by a few minutes. We pride ourselves on really, not going too much over. So we appreciate everybody joining the call. It's nice to meet everybody. Hopefully we'll see you again at an RGD event of some kind. Ian, thanks for the backup. Olivia, I hope your hair looks nice. And we'll talk to
Hillary,
everybody soon.
treat to have you here. This is great.
Yeah, no, thank you. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it very